I wanted to start out selfishly, and I wanted to talk about me and you and our relationship, and I want to hear what you remember about when we met. Or I was trying to think of the first time I met you, and I don't remember like the first time I met you. But do you have any memories of like when we were way back when we were kids, like anything about us meeting? I'm trying to, because I have such a bad memory. I was hoping that you might remember something.
I don't really remember like exactly, but like I know like when Pop started the Subway team and he went around and he picked would pick guys. So like we'd sit around with them. He'd be like, oh, he'd see Tanner. And he'd be like, okay, he's good. I'm gonna talk to him. And then he'd like see you playing. He's like, we're gonna get him. And then like it was all just put together. And what I remember was like our first practice was at like that not Rose Valley. What's that? St. Rose. And we're at St. Rose and we're practicing, and that's when that team came together. And that's when I think like we first met. But then that team split up kind of early after like 1 year, and we knew each other like through playing sports, but we didn't really kick it. Like, when did we? So like we would be going to like Monticello together. I think
Yeah.
that's when we really started hanging out. But other than that, like it was like competition because I was Central and you were Western,
Mm-hmm.
and so like I remember like everybody would say how good of a shortstop you were and stuff, and I was like the other shortstop. And the thing was, is I remember how smooth you were, and me, I was like I was good, but like, dude, I was so wild at throwing the ball to first base. I was always thinking like, how can he throw the ball so accurate to first base? I'd be throwing it over the fence, like throwing it to first base. Dude, I was like, Pops, you got to move me from shortstop to outfield. So that's I remember when we got on All Stars together when we were older. And obviously, I already knew you were going to be the shortstop, even though like I'd played it my whole thing. Got moved right to the outfield and was having troubles catching fly balls.
What's funny is I have a vivid memory of you hitting the ball to me at shortstop when we were playing at Western one time. It was Central versus Western, like maybe 12-year-old year. And I remember you were so fast getting down the line that I threw it over the first baseman's head, over the dugout, out into like where the fans were sitting. And so it's funny that you say I was so accurate, but the one memory I have about us playing baseball is me throwing it over the first baseman's head when you were running to first.
I think I probably put a little extra wheels on that one when I knew you were about to throw it. I said, I ain't letting him throw me out this time.
It's funny because our paths crossed a million times throughout our life through sports. For some reason, I have a memory that we played soccer together, like in elementary school or something. Me, you, and Giles, maybe.
Was it Mike Street's team?
Yeah, yeah.
It was Mike Street's team. We had the navy blue soccer uniforms. I've looked at that picture a million times. The
You
squad.
guys sent me that. I don't have that. You guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, we always like saw each other at sports, and then we really started to kick it at Monticello, and that's when I remember I would start going to your house. We'd hang out after school, before school, hoop together, blah blah blah. Then we separated, went to different high schools, which is something that I think about all the time. It's like one of those what if moments. And then we came back, played against each other in college, and then after college, coached together at Ari Long and at Roots. And I mean, it's just been like intertwined the whole time. I remember one memory I got to tell you before I forget. You may remember the grade. It was like 5th or 6th grade, I thought, maybe 7th grade. And you were playing on Subway. And I remember getting back to school on a Monday. You guys had a tournament over the weekend. Do you know where I'm going with this?
No, I don't.
And everyone around school was like, "Did you hear what Jeray did this weekend?" And I was like, "No, I didn't hear what happened." They were like, "Man, he was on a fast break, and he went between the legs on a layup." And it was like, it might have been 5th or 6th grade. It was like impressive at that time.
I remember doing that. Yep.
What grade was that? Do you remember?
I want to say, I think it was 7th or 8th. There's when it wasn't that. Yeah, it was like 6th grade, actually. We had the blue uniforms. That's when I had Iverson on the back of my jersey. I think it was about 6th grade. And it was at LCC in that tournament when we were playing like around there and all the
Yeah.
teams were playing. And who were we playing? I think we were playing. I think Joe Barkdale and them put together a team with Dane Rochon and them, and we played them. And I was like, oh, I'm about to show off on this one. And then we were beating them when I went down, and I went between the legs. I ran back. I thought I was the coolest thing ever.
Man, I'm not gonna lie, that was the coolest thing ever because at that time, like, I mean, today kids are in like 8th grade doing like windmills and stuff, but on the internet. But back then, I mean, that was athletic. I remember when I heard that, I was like, man, I'm at school with him now. We're about to be on the same basketball team. Like, we're about to kill. It was going around school like it was the hottest topic of the day. But all right, so I wanna know. Okay, we finished 8th grade at Monticello. By the way, Monticello was nuts. Did you think it was nuts while we were there, 6th through 8th grade?
Oh man, there's too many stories to go to with that. Like I don't even know how we made it out of 8th grade. Like from not driving to school and parking in the school parking lot in the teachers' spots and telling them to go back to, man, all the stuff that's went on in the halls. I don't know, man. I don't know how we got out of there. Seriously.
It's funny because I went from going to CVG Elementary School where I was wearing like Old Navy and like, whatever. And then I show up to Monticello and I thought you guys like, not necessarily, I knew you, but like some of the people that I was just meeting for the first time, these dudes were big in middle school. And I was like, oh, I go to school with adults now. Like this is a whole new ball game.
We had man-childs in our age group in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Like Rory, Marshawn, and
Christian,
Matt, David, like all those guys, they were like big, like adults. It was crazy. Like that's our line was all like 6'2", in like 8th grade. Like it was ridiculous.
Yeah. I just remember thinking, man, like I was seeing stuff at school. There was fights every day. Like I was thrown into the fire going from, this nice cush little elementary school to all of a sudden I'm at Monticello where people were just going nuts. It was like the craziest 3 years. It was crazier than high school to me. I thought Monticello was nuts while we were there, but.
Oh, definitely for me too, because to be honest, it was crazy because like I had friends at Mark Morris, but like I didn't hang out with a lot of people at Mark Morris. There was a few guys that like when it came to playing basketball, like outside of playing basketball, like I didn't hang out with Hutchinson and like Troutman or Ross Van Zanten or Brian Crawford or any of those guys. Like it was me and Giles, and like we hung out, but we didn't hang out with the guys that were really on our team, which is kind of weird to me when I think about it. But I didn't grow up with them. The only guys that I really did were some baseball guys that were on our all-star team when we were younger, like Jesse Rice, Nate Hardesty. Those were the guys those were like the two guys that just pop into my mind that I hung out with. Other than that, like when it came to like Matt Argyropoulos and Spencer Rowland and that group, my junior, didn't hang out with those guys. Probably hung out with them during the season 3 times. So it's like when you're watching the Jordan documentary and you're like, Rodman said he never hung out with like Jordan them off the court. It's like, seems like that's crazy. But then I think about it and I go, shoot, I kind of did the same thing with guys like, people would be like, oh, Matt and Dre are the Jordan Pippen. And we probably hung out 3 times during the season.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, whenever I tell people about you that don't know you, they're always like, oh, Dre went to Mark Morris. I'm like, yeah, he went to Mark Morris, but he was an Ari Long kid. Like,
right.
You lived over there. You grew up with everyone I went to school with. You ended up going to Mark Morris. I'd like to get into like that whole story and like when you decided and what made you decide that. But did you always feel more connected to Ari Long as far as like the people?
Yeah, just because going to Monticello and all of us, we were all so close. Like when we played sports together at Monticello, it was like me, you, Willie Cuban, Giles, Brandon Driscoll. Those were the guys I grew up with at Central. Mm-hmm. So like we were all, and me and Willie were like best friends. Like, and so like I always just felt so close. Like I wanted to go to RA Long. I really did. My brother went there, so we grew up going and watching the games.
Hmm.
We drove to all the games. We was up at River, when they had guys, and that's
Yeah.
why I know so much history from RA Long. I've watched more RA Long games than I did Mark Morris. But when it came down to it, my uncle went to Mark Morris, and um, knowing how good he was, and wanting to follow in your family footsteps, it was something our grandpa wanted us to do. And he knew that with what was going on over there, like how good they were going to be, and like my older brother Tori played with that Landshark team, and he knew me joining that team, me and Giles joining that team, like, hey, that group's going to be really good when they're older, because in a year they'll play up. And then thinking like Ryan Gorton and Tanner Bradley too were that age. You're thinking those four join that Landshark team, they're gonna win a state title.
Hmm.
And so I remember in eighth grade, I was like, okay, we'll go there because our grandpa wants us to go there. But like right before it all happened, I told my mom, I was like, I don't want to go to Mark Morris. Like I want to go to RA Long. You guys let Dominique choose. And um, all she did was say to me, she goes, it's your choice, but you know that you're going to really hurt your grandpa. And I said, okay, never mind. I'm going to Mark Morris. That's all she had to say, because, he meant so much, and he's the one who taught me how to play, and he was my dad. So I was like, I can go into Mark Morris. There wasn't even like I wasn't sad about it or anything, but once she just said that, I was like, okay, I'm going to Mark Morris. So,
Right.
they were going to give me the choice, but when she said there wasn't a choice. She knew that wasn't a choice. She knew what she was saying. Like, so that's really how it happened.
Yeah, yeah, that's I remember when you and Giles told me, and at that time, like I didn't even know like what was what. I was just like, oh, I just go, wherever my parents tell me I'm going to school, that's where I'm going to school. And like my sister was at RA Long, so I was like, I'm going to RA Long. But I remember getting the transfer papers just to think about it over the weekend. So I had these papers and I filled them out to go to Mark Morris because I really wanted to play with you and Giles, and just go to school with you and Giles. And I remember looking at them and I had them filled out and everything. And then Monday morning came around and I was like, nah, I'm just going to go to school with my sister and do my own thing. And so I put the papers in the trash. But I think it worked out for the best for both of us. But I always have that what if of like, man, I would have loved to play with you and Giles throughout high school. That would have been a blast.
Well, same here. I always think of that what if too, because I mean, when I was at Mark Morris, I was always jealous of your career and how like we came across paths, but like how you got to go into the fire like right away, like you got to
Mm.
play. So like when you were a freshman, you were like JV, and did you shoot up some varsity games?
Yeah, I got to suit up for playoffs.
Yeah, and then sophomore year, and then freshman, you're playing JV and doing that. I was playing, and I went to Mark Morris to play with Gorton and Bradley. I remember I was like, man, I want to go to RA Long after my freshman year. So we went to play with Gorton and Bradley. And me and Giles got stuck on the C squad team, and they moved them up their freshman year and played on the JV. And I'm like, what? So you're telling me, like, and here I am, I'm like, I'm the best out of all of us freshmen. Like, I'm freaking better than them. I gave them 20. We beat them, our Monticello team. Even though I'm coming to play with them, I'm mad. I know you remember days when I'd be in the gym and I'd throw it between guys' legs and go, this is what I'm going to do to Ryan Gordon when we play him. Like, and so, like, I'm mad. I'm like, I'm going to RA Long, but like, then sophomore year comes and I get a play, and you're playing varsity. Sophomore year, I'm swinging and only playing towards the end of the games, and so I'm mad. Like, dude, he's getting a play. Like, why? I'm a sophomore now. Here's 2 years ago. Like, I would have been playing this year varsity as a sophomore. Like, this is, oh man. But then my career finally got to take off when I was a junior and then senior. So, and that was crazy how many times I was always kept saying I'm going to RA Long. Like,
Did you think those 2 years that you were on C squad and then started on the bench your sophomore year, did those 2 years help you as a player?
yeah, they did, because for one, I mean, it always put a chip on my shoulder. Like I had to prove something no matter what. I always felt like I had to prove something. But when I thought I was so good and I was like still not on varsity yet, when I thought I was gonna like be playing it, but my sophomore year when Matt was a junior, even though I was like swinging back and forth, and he was one of the top players on that team. I mean, I think he led them in scoring. I was like Kevin Wright and all them, and Felix Freet, and Matt had like 30-point playoff game against Franklin Pierce, and I guarded him all year in practice, and, and just went at each other all year. And then that's what helped me be a really good defender, is guarding a guy that could score the ball and that was bigger than me and a little stronger than me. I mean, he was a D1 athlete, basketball or baseball. And so even though I didn't get to play right away, I was getting to compete against like the best guy one of the best guys in our league. And so it really did help me. And then with the chip on the shoulder, it all just kind of went together.
Mm-hmm. You just mentioned, guarding Matt and your defense. For everyone that knows you, knows that you're known for your defense. But for the people that don't, just put it in perspective. You're by far the best defender I've ever played against, hands down. No one's even close to second. Now that you're a grown man, you probably relax a little bit more on the defensive end, just messing around in open gym and stuff. But when you were, what's that? When you were locked in,
I'm still picking up full court, baby.
You don't have the lungs for that now.
No, I don't have that, but I'll do it a couple possessions.
But your defense, I think, is like, it was like elite. You were able to sit down in a stance for every second you were on the court, literally like down like you're sitting in a chair. Your hands were super active. You were super strong. Back then, you could forearm people, defensively, and you would just stick guys and they wouldn't be able to move. When did you start to really go all in on defense? Where did you learn how to play defense correctly? And why did you take so much pride in it?
I think when I first learned, I always knew I was athletic and could do it, but when I was younger, I just want to score the ball. That's what you think. Like, you don't really think, hey, this is what, but as you get older, and I was playing, and I think it was my sophomore year, and that's when I was having to guard like Matt and stuff. And I don't know, Backmus got on me one day. It just sticks in my mind. He got on me one day at practice, and he was yelling at me for something, and I don't know why. I just something clicked in my mind, and I picked up full court, and the guy was dribbling, and I felt like I could put my hands behind my back and go, "You're not going to get past half court." And literally, when I did it a few times, and like they were having such trouble, I loved it. Like I was like, "Oh frick! Like this is another part of the game that I could be really good at." And after that, I always wanted to pick up full court, and I wanted to try to make it so hard for people to like even dribble past half court. Like you said, back in the day, you could really kind of touch someone. My old trick was always to like get my hand in there. I wouldn't get this so much besides when they came close to me and I could kind of like give them that little bump. But I always put my hand on them, and when my fingers were touching them, I was really pushing them. So when they thought they think that they're going where they want, I'm steering them with my hand out. And the refs just looks like I'm kind of barely just touching them with my fingers, but no, like I'm literally really pushing them, like, and you can't really tell that. So that's like was my trick on it, and I was quick and could move my feet. But the thing with me, like when it came down to it, like playing basketball, like everybody wants to score. Dude, I just thought it was so cool when you could stop someone. Like it was such a pride thing to me. Like if someone thought they could score on me, because like in practice or something that happened and they scored, it was like I could see them get like really happy, and it like made me mad. Like if anybody scores on me, I'm gonna be so freaking mad. Like they think if you score on me, that means you think you're better than me. That's literally how I took it. Even though anybody, here and there, someone's gonna score. No, if you score on me the majority of the game, you're probably a better player than me. So I was like, no matter what, I'm gonna be able to score here and there, but if I stop them, is every time I'm better than them. So like defense is like really what got me going, and it was just really like just a pride thing. It literally all pride. Like it's hard work and pride. Hey, do you want to be better than that guy? Stop him. That's how it kind of just clicked in my mind when I was in high school, probably when I was a sophomore.
Yeah, you started getting the nickname Off Night in the Daily News. Who gave you that nickname? Do you remember? Was it Daily News?
I think if it wasn't Backmus who said it, I think it was Zimmerman. It was one of those guys. He came up and like, yeah, we nicknamed you Off Night because every guy that you guard has an off night. And I was like, oh yeah, I like that. That's cool. Like, and
Yeah.
so I kind of rolled with it.
No, I mean that's a really good nickname. And I just don't think people really realize how good you were at it. Because it takes a combination of speed and strength, which anyone that knows you knows you're the Hulk, you know. And then it also takes IQ of knowing angles and knowing the game and knowing what someone's strengths and weaknesses are. Um, I mean, if you go back and I was looking at old articles, you would hold like a guy that's averaging like 18 a game to like 6, which is, that's a big deal. That's 12 points they were expecting to get from their leading scorer that are no longer on the board.
Yeah.
There are matchups that were more difficult for you to guard? Like, did you prefer guarding taller players that were maybe a little bit slower? Did you have troubles with quick guards? Were there any sort of type of player that gave you fits defensively or no?
Not really. It didn't really matter who I guarded. I just kind of like you said, like it was all like it's about angles and knowing all that. So like if I knew like I was playing against somebody really good, I had to like think like I watched them on film because we scouted, and I'd watch like how are they scoring. And like let's say that we're playing okay, Beaverton, and they had Ryan Meehan, and he's averaging like 23, 24 a game, and I end up shutting him down to like 11 points. I matched up with him twice that year, and I held him like 10 points both times. He was averaging 20 something, and he was like my size, but he wasn't like extremely quick. Like, so I didn't think I'd have a problem with him. Because then I watched film and we were playing Evergreen, Jared Fulmer, and I'm going, oh frick, he's quick. Like he got handles too. He'll shoot it from deep, and those were the quicker little guards like that had handle that could go. Probably I'd have to say those little type of guards, and more that were really small, like him, like were hard to guard because sometimes you get that hand check and pick up a foul, and then when you get those few early fouls, like okay, now I got to change up how I'm playing. I can't be as physical. But I always knew he's gonna try to go the hoop. I'm not gonna be able to just keep him in front. I always knew to get two angles, and that's what I try to teach now. Is by when a guy's about to beat you, you'll catch him if you go to an angle if they're quicker than you.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of guys think, oh no, I'm just gonna keep sliding, and all of a sudden you're fouling them, and then the guy gets by you. But I just kind of knew how to get to the angles. I was really good at that.
Mm-hmm. Later in college, you got to guard Klay Thompson. When you were at Lewis and Clark State, you played Washington State. What was it like guarding Klay?
Man, that's the crazy thing. When people are like, oh yeah, right, that's not true. He wasn't like hard for me to guard. He was taller than me. He tried to post me up a couple times, and I pushed him out, and probably didn't have the turnaround jumper that he has now in the NBA. But we had some one-on-ones when he got the ball at top, but he didn't have handles. But he was different than reason that he was so different than everybody else I played because how good of a shooter he was. You lose him in transition, like say you run in for a rebound and he runs down the sideline, that's a three. I remember he probably made 6 in a row on us, and they were more all in transition. It wasn't him taking you off the dribble or posting you up and scoring. It was transition. And after the game, because he still ended with like 26 on us and hit 7 threes or something like that. I remember going over to the sideline, because my grandpa was there, and I went over to him and talked to him, and I'm mad after the game, just being a competitor, even though knowing, hey, they're supposed to beat us. But he looks at me and, I'm a good defender. I'm like, hey, can't nobody, and he goes, that's the best shooter I've ever seen with these two eyes. And my grandpa knows a lot of basketball, and I'm going, yeah, like I'm mad. I'm going, yeah, okay, pops. He's not. I'm going. He made him in transition. Like, who cares? Like, well, whatever. Years down the road, the guy's shattering records in the NBA, and I'm going, I cannot believe my grandpa called that freaking 10 years ago. Like, really? Unbelievable.
Your grandpa's seen more sports than me and you combined for our whole lifetime plus some. What does Pops mean to you?
Everything, man. Everything I do is literally for him. I mean, most him and my mom are the two people that I do it for. Like, you know, my family history of having like, you know, all types of problems from drugs to, man, just a lot of different things. My brother's going to prison, you know, cousins doing drugs and everything. It was everybody goes, how did you not go down that path? And I always, for one, when you see it, it's like you don't want to be like that for one. But the other thing was to see the disappointment on their face. I was like, I never want to disappoint him for everything that he's done for me. I was like, I can't disappoint him. He everything he's done for me, not just me, that he did for my friends. I remember just having teams and being like, okay, Pops, can this guy be on our team? Yep. Taking us to games and paying for all their food and everything and paying. I just like I can't disappoint him. Like so, and then when I seen like how he treated people, I was like, I got to be the same way. Like if I can help people, if it's giving back doing sports, I literally just try to follow in his footsteps the best I can. So I mean, he's everything to me, and the reason why I'm even doing what I'm doing. And he had a love for Ari Long that was just unbelievable. Even though we went to Mark Morris, he still coached a lot of softball and basketball there. Like my brother Keenan played there, and so he had ties both ways. But he was a huge Ari Long fan, to be honest.
Always working on that field. He was
Always.
always working on that field, the softball field. I remember going to Pops's funeral and just I was blown away by how many people were there. I mean,
Yeah.
it was inside the Lower Columbia gymnasium and it was packed. There was like, I mean, I was like squished between people just trying to find a seat. You know, like I don't know how many people, but it had to have been over like 500.
Oh yeah, they had like one side of the bleachers down, and I think people were even standing up because it was so packed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the crazy thing is when that happened was to see how many lives he touched, to see guys that I played sports with, you know, 10, 12 years later, thinking like, whoa, like that person came back to show up for this or something like that. That was just like that was crazy. Like you could just show that what he meant to the community, and that it was just so touching to see that.
Yeah. I mean, he was awesome. I was lucky enough to play for him, you know, on the travel team for a little while, and he was always around. You know, even if he wasn't my coach, I could always hear him. My favorite memory of him was he was the third base coach, and I think Giles was on first or some Willie or someone, and they missed the sign to steal. And you know what he do from there? Do you remember?
Was it for me?
It might have been you, Willie, somebody, but he yells
Yeah,
from third base, "Hey, I want you to steal."
yeah, that would happen. Like I don't know. I was having trouble picking. It was me. I was having troubles picking up signs and like the indicator is the hat. That's what always. If I do this, that don't mean nothing. But if I hit the hat, I don't know. I must have been messing up. And he said, Raymond. And I like look over and he just goes. I'm like, okay. Like nobody knows what I'm about to do here. Like,
What
yeah,
are
that is
things that he taught you, whether it's life or coaching, or what are some things that you take on, you know, and continue to do every single day because of something that he said or something that he showed you?
uh to be honest, man, it was just Pops did. He didn't have to say things. He was more, but even though he did say things, it was more of he just did it with his actions. It was hard. The biggest thing I got from him was hard work. I mean, he worked at a mill for 50 years, and you know he got up at 5:30 every day, and then when he did that, he got off at 4 or 5, and right when he got off, he's still in his work clothes. He came and picked us up and took us to our baseball practice or to our games. So it was a 5:30 to 4, and then we had practice 5 to 7. But then that practice 5 to 7, he'd have us staying in the gym for another hour and a half after everybody left. So I remember my grandma would be calling my mom at like 9 at night when we finally got home, like, "Where is your dad at?" Blah, blah, like yelling at her, and like, "Oh, he just dropped the kids off." Because so he'd be gone from 5:30 and not get home till 9. He'd get back up and he did it every day. like to raise all of us grandkids. And like when I look back on it to think how crazy that was, it's like, dude, 5:30 to like 8 every single day, and to get back up and do that, like all you did was go home and eat and get ready for bed. Like, so like the hard work is what I took from it. Like he always told me, like, don't ever think you're too good for a job. If you need to make money, go mow a lawn, go whatever's offered to you, because the most important thing that the biggest compliment that you can get from somebody is that you're a hard worker. If you're a hard worker, you can get a job anywhere. All you have to do is just work hard. You'll learn the skill. You'll learn it if you're a hard worker. And that's the biggest thing I took from him was hard work. I mean, he just showed that. And then on top of that, discipline. Jeez, man, I remember getting in trouble so much in middle school and freaking having to go to his house and make us go in his backyard and get a switch. And it's crazy. I was talking about this the other day. He'd go, "You boys go get a stick, and it better not be a small one." And I'm thinking, like, yeah, right. It's not gonna be a small one. What do you think I'm gonna do? Grab a big one? Well, he was tricking us. He wanted us to grab the small one because it was more flappier. So when he hit us and left those welts on our ass, freaking, it hurt more. If I would have grabbed the big one, it wouldn't have snapped so much. But it was all, dude. Oh man. So the discipline part of trying to keep me lined up, it was just huge, man. Like when I think back on it to this day, like, because then there would be days that I went to school, and I'm like, I'm about to get in trouble today because I'm not having another one of them welts on my ass. Like, then I had to be the rebel about the week later and pull the laser pointer out and start laser pointing the teachers. Gosh, man.
Yeah, I love Pops. You mentioned you calling him dad. Did you consider him your dad?
Yeah, I had a stepdad that raised me growing up that I lived with, but he never came to any of our sports game. He wasn't really a sports guy. He was a hunter, fisher guy, and he was a roofer. Yeah, but you know what? He took care of me, put a roof over my head, paid for my school clothes, stuff like that. But he wasn't involved in any of our sports. I don't really even remember him ever coming to watch us really play. Like, so he was there at my mom's, but he wasn't really like a dad to us. But my grandpa was there, and he literally raised me with everything that was like taught. I seen him every day. My dad was there in and out of my life. Later on in my life, we built that relationship. I think more when I got to middle school, because I'd go stay with him in the summers. And then when I was in high school, I was more in touch with him. But when I was younger, from young to up to sixth grade, it was all my grandpa. Like, literally raised me how to do everything, play sports, how to be polite, freaking told me not to sag my pants. I didn't know how to have a role model to look up to. So when I seen other guys sagging their pants and stuff, I do it. My grandpa would say, "Pull your pants up, boy. Look like you're taking a shit." Those are guys who go to prison wear their pants like that. And I'd always be like, okay. So like I'd pull my pants up because he told me to. Like, if I didn't have him to do that, to this day, I probably wear them down to my knees, because that was the style, the baggy style that we seen on TV, And so, I mean, that's why I considered him my dad. I mean, I wanted to even change my last name to Key Peterson, because everybody sees me as Key and don't know I'm a Peterson, but I was raised by my grandpa, which was a Peterson. So that's just something that's always stick to me that I maybe think about doing. It might happen still, but we'll see.
So you just mentioned that you and your biological dad have gotten closer since middle school. What's your relationship like now?
It's good. We talk on the phone a lot. We meet up sometimes. I've went and played in some city league games out in Portland, and he comes and watches me play. And that's like when I say, like, in middle school, I kind of finally got more in touch with him and was going and staying like 7th, 8th grade summer, all summer with him. And he changed his life around, because he used to run around and do a lot of crazy stuff and gang type of stuff. And yeah, man, so many. I remember he used to pick me up in a van that had like bullet holes in it, and he would have a trench coat on. And I'm like, telling my mom, I'm not going with him. This was when I was like, this is when I finally have ever seen him, when I was like 4th and 3rd grade, like not really knowing him as much. But like when I got to meet him more in 7th, 8th grade, he changed his whole life and became a Christian. And then he like when I go stay those summers, I had to get up every morning and read the Bible before I could eat. We went to church. We had when I'd stay there in the summer, like Wednesdays was prayer night. We had to go pray for an hour. And he changed his whole life, man. Now he's a preacher at one of the second churches in Portland. And it's crazy because he ended up, even though he wasn't there, he impacted my life later down the road. Like to me being a Christian and my belief and how to treat people. So it's just weird kind of how it all happened. But yeah, our relationship's strong now. And, now we've been able to make up for it now that I'm older and stuff. But, when we were younger, I had where were you? Where were you at? Da, 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 da. And so, but we're good now. So it's all good, which is a good feeling.
Yeah, it's cool seeing photos of you guys. He's watched you coach, I think, at Arlong, couple of games. Has he been to Arlong? Is that right?
Yep. He was just there for our playoff game against Tumwater. A couple of years ago when we beat Tumwater and upset them in the first round at Tumwater, he came out and watched that game. I haven't gotten to a Civil War game yet, so I'm gonna have to get him to one of those. But yeah, he's came and watched me when we play out at Hudson's Bay out in Vancouver. He's came to a game out there. So he's been to a few games since I've been coaching over the last 7 years.
Yeah, I definitely see where you get your strength from, the body. Your dad's a built dude. He's a big guy.
Man. Yeah, he is. He's a tank. I'll tell you what. He's like 3-something now. But my mom said I was built just like I'm built like he was when he was my age. Like he was really. Thing is though, I remember seeing him in his 30s and seeing his ID, and he was like 6'1", but he was like 225. I'm not even that. The most I ever tip out at is like 200. People was like, man, you're heavy. Like even right now, like I'm like 187. Like I don't. People think that I weigh a lot, but I'm really not. I'm just like really like I'm slim and like cut. I don't have a lot of body fat, but yeah, he's a big man.
Yeah. That's one of the things that Kyoki and I were texting about yesterday is just how you've always naturally been so strong. But Kyoki was curious, and I think this is a good question, is when did you, because you obviously, it's not just natural, you found the weight room, and I think you've fallen in love with it. When did you first start getting into the weight room and really lifting weights?
To be honest, it was ninth grade. I took weight training at Mark Morris, and I was already strong. I was already like playing a little varsity football, being able to hit guys like Tyler Hayes, rest in peace, but having to do running back drills with him. And I remember like, dude, how strong he was. And I was only a freshman, but I could hold my own. He smacked me on the head like, okay, and I got into the weight room and guys were lifting, and I remember sitting down on the bench because we had to do our max, and I had 25s, I think, on the side, or 20, I think 25s were the most, and maybe some 5s, and I could barely do it. And I'm thinking, like, I'm strong. Like, what the heck? Then there's these little guys that, like, wrestled, and I knew I could kick their ass. Like, I could beat them up. And they're putting, like, 45s on it, and I was, another thing, pride thing, I was embarrassed. I'm like, okay, I'm lifting every day. So I started lifting every single day. And then after my freshman year, my sophomore year, I started lifting, but I was lifting every single day again. And then I had a bad breakup with a girl I was dating over in Kelso. And I remember I was trying to like get through that. And I started lifting twice a day. I'd lift during school, then I'd lift after school. And I was just freaking up there and next thing you know, my bench was like 255 as like a junior. And I'm thinking I was like strong and shit. Like it was crazy. So it was kind of my freshman year is when I really found the weight room, and I just felt embarrassed when I seen guys that were so small benching more than me. It's just a pride thing, man. The competitiveness. When it comes to being just competitive, like Michael Jordan, it didn't matter if he was playing rock, paper, scissors. If he thought someone was better than him at it, he had to find a way to, I'm going to do better. So when I seen guys doing that, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that better than him. Like, get real.
I love that. Yeah, you were. I loved when you were on my team because you were so competitive and so strong and so good. I hated when we went against each other because of those exact reasons. It was frustrating. But anyways, um, we were talking about your family a second ago, and your family's, to me, when we were growing up and I would go to your house, I would, you guys were always competing in no matter what you were doing, whether it was video games, just wrestling in the living room, playing pickup ball outside, seeing who could throw the ball the farthest, like whatever we were doing, you guys were competing. And you guys, your family's full of athletes, and artists. I mean, Jordan is brilliant and amazing singer. He just went to school at Harvard, didn't he?
Yeah, about to graduate here soon. Not this year, I think maybe next year or something.
Yeah, and then you got Sadie, Division I softball player. Tori was an amazing athlete, very skilled. Dominique was a good player. Giles was a college basketball player. Like you guys are. Keenan was a good basketball player. You guys, am I forgetting anyone?
You know, my cousin Whitney too. She played softball. Ari Long was a pitcher. Yeah, all of them.
Yeah. So when I would go to your house, all the relatives would be there, and you guys would be competing at something. And I'd leave, and I'd go, man, Jeray has tougher competition at his house than he does when he goes to his games. Like you're like just competing against your brothers and cousins was, I mean, you had really really tough competition. Did you realize that when you were growing up? Were you like, man, like this is like I'm thrown into the fire every single day just being home.
Yeah, I knew how good my brother Tori was, which was crazy. He could shoot it, bro. He could jump. He could play defense. And I remember we always played 1-on-1 in the driveway. No lie, this is how I learned how to back guys down. Um, I dribble and stuff, and I didn't have a lot of handles when I was younger. I was just strong. And he'd sit there in the stance, and I couldn't get by him. And I'm like, how can I score on him? Like, I can't get by him, and I'm getting frustrated. I said, okay. I just freaking turned around and I just started going into him as hard as I could every single time. When I got right, I'd get right under the hoop and I started scoring. And I said, I'm gonna do this every single time. I ain't gonna shoot jumpers or nothing. I'm just gonna back him down, and that's literally how I started learning how to back people down. Because and he wasn't weak. He was the size of me, maybe a little bit bigger, but I was like, I'm backing him down. I'm backing him down. I just back him down, and I was able to score on him. So that's literally how I knew. And then playing against Giles and stuff, good competition. But the thing is, we went to Portland a lot. So his cousin Mikey, you know him, like
Yeah.
he'd come down and he was a different type of player, his style. And we go to Portland and we go play. We go freaking be in like 7th, 8th grade betting money against guys at the park and putting shoes on the line and going down there and playing against really good players. So like when I was playing down there, I'm thinking, man, I'm playing against like really good competition right now. That's so yeah, at a really young age when I was playing against guys like that, it was freaking made me a lot better.
And yeah, like I used to go over there every once in a while, and when we would play, I'd be like, man, this is like, I mean, I'm playing against top level competition here, just at Dre's house, messing around with his family. Tori was, I got to play with Tori. He played summer league with us at Ari Long going into my junior year, and he was going to be a senior. He was the real deal. Like, and this was after, I don't know if he'd even played the year before or not, but like,
He was all in trouble, was all off of drugs, wasn't even really in basketball shape or nothing.
but he could jump. He was smooth. He had handles. He could shoot it. I mean, he would have helped us a ton that year. I was really looking forward to playing with him, and it was funny because it was like me and you were boys, but I had Tori over on my side.
Yeah, I remember. I remember. I remember you talking about it like, yeah, we got Tori. Like, we're gonna be good this year. And I'm thinking, okay, so that's your new best friend, okay. And I'm thinking in my head, I can't wait to guard my brother in front of everybody. This is gonna be awesome, you know. And I never got that chance because he never made it. He couldn't keep himself out of trouble, which sucks. Like, man.
The, okay, I want to talk about that summer. So me and you were going into our junior years, and during summer league we were playing against each other, and we had Tori at the time, and we had a decent team. And from what I remember, when Mark Morris and Ari Long would play at LCC during the summer league, it was going like kind of every other. And then one day I show up to the gym and I see some new tall people on the other side. I don't know if if Eric Hutchinson and Matt Troutman both came in at the same time, or if it was one of them. Do you remember who came in that summer? Was it both?
It was Hutchinson that summer because he was a sophomore. He was a year younger. Troutman didn't come till our senior year.
Okay. So then it like kind of got lopsided because Hutch kind of really opened things up. He protected the rim, like, because at the time you guys were kind of small. And then, once Troutman came, then it was like really, really tough because you had 5 college players on the court at all times with Walder, you, Giles, Hutch, and then Troutman. Just in Longview, that was like drama because everyone was like, oh, Mark Morris is recruiting, like they would call you guys like the Monarchs, and the Chinooks.
Yep. Well, they had shirts made, everything, man.
What was your whole perspective on that situation? And did you think it was funny? I'd love to hear your take on it all.
Yeah, it was funny because we were transfers too, like me and Giles, and we got crap for it. So, but then, I was a sophomore, and here we are getting a 6'8" guy from Germany. So
yeah, Felix.
I was kind of just in tune to like this is an every year thing. Like who's next? So and then I'm a junior, and here comes Eric Hutchinson, and I'm going, okay, well that's cool. After that, well, going into my senior year, well, who's next? Well, here comes 6'8" Troutman. So but the thing is like when people talked about it, I always thought like it's just like college. Like if guys want to go somewhere and play against the best, whatever. I was on the other end of it. How to look at it in a different perspective when I start coaching somewhere. But when you're a young kid and playing, you don't really, care. But I took it like I loved, to me, I'm not gonna lie, I loved how mad people were about it. Like I thought it was like, oh, this is awesome how mad they are. Not only that, what makes it even better is that we're winning. And the thing is, nobody's complaining if we're losing. But when you're going 26-0 all the way up to a title game because you just got a guy, and then the next year you get another 6'8" guy after you just went 26-1. Oh yeah. But you know what? We took a lot of heat for it. Like it wasn't easy. Like, dude, freaking expectations having those guys were through the roof. We're supposed to win state title. Mm-hmm. Get the guy, you're supposed to do it. It wasn't like, hey, you can lose these games. So but I always liked that role of just having guys, people so mad about it. I thought it was funny because I like pissing people off.
The person that everyone forgets though is if you guys have Ryan Gordon for your whole high school career, I mean, there's 2 people growing up that were just all around spectacular athletes, and that was Jeray Key and Ryan Gordon in my grade. And I always used to think, man, I was hoping, I thought you were going to be at RA along with me, but then once I realized you were going to Mark Morris, and I was like, man, Jeray and Ryan are going to be on the same teams. I mean, that's going to be a nightmare. Ryan was unbelievable at football, baseball, and basketball. You were unbelievable at football, baseball, and basketball. It was like it was a nightmare. And then he came his freshman year to Mark Morris, played, was a starting catcher on the baseball team that went really deep. I don't know if he played varsity football as a freshman. Did he play varsity?
We suit up and like towards the end of the year, he was a JV quarterback. We were playing JV. He was killing it. Probably could have been a varsity quarterback. And then
in basketball, he was on JV, right?
Basketball's JV. So we never played one sport together when I went to Mark Morris because he left after the freshman year. I'm thinking like I'm going to play with him. So then I kind of look at it too. And I remember putting in perspective like when people were mad that we got Troutman and Hutch, and I go, hey, you keep Gorton and Bradley, we might have even been we probably better. The only difference is the height. Yeah. But when it came to scoring, Bradley better scoring than Hutchinson or Troutman. Gorton a better everything than he don't have the height, but he can rebound as good. He can play defense good. He could have guarded guys that were 6'8".
You would have figured it out.
Yeah.
You But
if you lose those two and you replace those guys, it's like, dude, it might have been a little bit even scarier,
Gordon,
So
you and Gordon staying all 4 years, I think you guys have a good chance at winning like 2 titles.
And then not getting in trouble, I never got to play with my brother Tori at Mark Morris, So if you got Bradley, those three, Tori, Bradley, and Gordon stay. Then you got me, Matt, Giles, Tony, Roland. We're going, man.
I always wished I could have saw Gordon in Longview all 4 years. I think I talked to Backamus about that one time, and he even mentioned, he's like, yeah, Gordon cost me a state title or two. You and him together as like juniors and seniors would have been so fun to watch. Because he's out at 6A Tiger killing.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what he would have been doing with you, 2A, 3A, GSHL, All right, hold on one second. Can you run me through your teams at Mark Morris on varsity, how you guys did, what your records were, and like where you placed at state? I get them confused. What year was which?
So my sophomore year when I swung, where did we go, man? We were like, I think we went like 17-10 my sophomore year, but I didn't really play a lot, so like I didn't really consider myself on like varsity because I got hurt during the year that year too with a back injury and sat out, and like literally I played like at the end of games, So, but we went 17-10, and like I remember I got in against Rainier Beach and like Seattle Prep in that my sophomore year, but then we got 7th in state that year. We had won the first round game against like Ellensburg, and then you guys I think played Seattle Prep, and wasn't it a close game?
It was, and then Spencer Haas took over at the end.
Yeah, and then so we ended up playing them the second round. The thing is, they were kicking our ass in the first half. And Backamus looked at me at the bench. He said, "Key, go." He said, "Key," and I like looked like, did he just say my name? Or like it was out at the very end of the bench. I like turn and look down. I'm like, he's like, "Come on!" And I'm like, "Oh, get up." And he's like, and I got up to him, and I remember him grabbing me. He said, "Go in there and shut him down." And I went in the game, and some guy named like Jordan something or something, like I don't really remember.
Oh, Jordan Bremen?
Yeah, something like that. I was like,
that's
Jordan
what I started too.
Killing. And I went in, he said, "Shut him down." And he must have been killing us. And I go in and I shut him down. And we came back at halftime. And then I remember the second half comes, and then I didn't play the rest of the game. And I'm like, I didn't score, but I played defense on the guy, and I'm thinking, I just brought us back, and I'm not going to play. And we ended up losing that game 49-42 to Seattle Prep, and they ended up winning the state title that year with Spencer Haas. That showed how close we literally were. We could win that game, lost by 7. We won that game, no saying that we couldn't have been the state champions. But we got 7. And it goes my junior year, and we were playing 3A at that time. It goes my junior year, we dropped down to 2A. And we went 26-0 all the way up to the state title. We ended up getting second place, went 26-1, and then went to my senior year. We got third place, lost in overtime to Ephrata. Ephrata, I think, or was it Ephrata? Yeah, and lost to them, and we got third place, and they won the state title that year. So we win that game, we should have won 2 state titles in a row right there, but we didn't get it done, and we went, 24-4 my senior year. So my 2 years on varsity, junior and senior, we went 50-5. Yeah, 50-5. Or we 50-4, 50-5. So yeah, one of the best runs in Mark Moore's history. Like we still, my junior year going 26-1 is the best record in Mark Moore's history still to this day.
Crazy. So you recently had some big news.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah.
Are you excited?
I am. Get to have a kid of my own. I mean, I can't say I didn't want a boy, of course. Usually when you're a guy, you want a boy, but I'm having a girl, but I'm still, very excited about it. She'll just be the next Skylar Diggins. So
What's the name again?
it's gonna be Jeray Key.
I love it. I'm excited, man. You're gonna be a great dad.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I can't wait. Right, November 7th is the due date, so right before basketball starts. So it's gonna be a nice little balance to have her if we lose a game next year. Yeah, I won't be so mad. I have a perspective to go home to something that can make me feel better.
Yeah, I said it on your Facebook post, but I'm gonna say it again. I feel real bad for whoever ends up on your doorstep in 18 years and is trying to ask her out on a date.
I feel you. I feel real bad for them too already. Man, I'll tell you what. Oh man.
All right, so my dad and I were actually talking about you recently, and as my dad has obviously a much further history than I do, but I was asking him, I was like, has there ever been a black head coach in Longview? And as far as he can remember, there's never been a black head coach in Longview. And beyond, and even looking past that, you guys have an all-black coaching staff from C squad to JV to varsity. Jamond Harris is the C squad coach, Jamal Holden JV coach, and then you as the head coach. I mean, did you realize that before I just mentioned that? Like, you're making history essentially in Longview.
Yeah, man, it's kind of been. Honestly, it's kind of, once I started coaching there, it was kind of something that popped in my head because every sports team I've been on, I was the only black guy. And not only that, I'm not even full black. I'm mixed. So it was crazy even growing up here, man, and kind of even getting into my culture more. As you remember, 7th, 8th grade, I'm wearing American Eagle, Abercrombie. My mom's dressing me, like telling me what to wear. And, I'm going to Portland. And I'm going to my dad's, and my stepbrother and them got on freaking LaDainian Tomlinson jerseys with the rubber bands on their pants, and I'm thinking like, well, that's kind of how I want to dress, but I was never around black people like that. So I kind of knew it because everywhere I went, I was always the black kid, and nobody on my teams was black. So like I kind of knew like the Longview thing, but as the years have went, more black people have came in here. But I had never played for a black coach. I've never really had played with any other black players growing up here. So when I played on the AAU team in Portland and going down there, it was like a shell shock to me. Everybody in the gym's black. They ain't white. Everybody in the gyms these guys are as strong as me, quicker. I remember when I went down there and there was a guy that was playing really good, and he ended up being on my team. It was Mike James, who plays for the Phoenix Suns. And this was my June, going into my senior year. I had no idea who he was, And here I am going to here. I was always the man on every team. And here I am going here. This kid's same height as me, and he's taking off in the middle of the key and dunking. I'm going, what the hell? And I was like uncomfortable. Like I had dudes talking shit to me. Like I was uncomfortable because that didn't really happen. And obviously that put another chip on my shoulder to be better. But when it came to the coaching thing, like getting all along, man, like, and then now having some black coaches, but players too. We have 3, 4. We had 4 this year. Jaden Williamson has black in him. The 2 Holden boys, Jamon. It was like, dude, this is something kind of like crazy because I've never seen it. I never seen any black coaches growing up here. So, my mom growing up, my mom would always be like, you're going to be a big role model for black kids. And I'm thinking like, okay, like at the time, I don't know what she's talking about. And she's like, you'll see, one day you'll see. And I'm thinking, okay, like, sure. And now like being able, cause I remember being a black kid and when I hang out with even my friends like you and Giles and Jesse Rice and them, I might have braids or something. And goes, why are you wearing that do-rag on your head? And I'm like, because I'm holding my hair down. They're like, you're white. And I'm like, I'm fucking half black too. What do you mean? Like I'd have my white friends tell me I'm white.
Hey, just put it on record. I never thought you were white. I was always like, yeah,
no, not. It was like I was like guys that were like around. I'm just saying, like within our group, they're like, there's more when I went to Mark Morris. This actually, because we had a minority of friends, like our was Mexican, white, black, you know. But when I went to Mark Morris, like I remember, like why are you doing that? Like you're white, and I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah, I'm white, but I'm black too. So like it like pissed me off, you know. I had to be like best of both worlds. I didn't really know how to, you know. That's when I kind of started changing. Like I'm not wearing this Abercrombie anymore. I'm gonna wear a freaking T-shirt that says Kansas City Royals across the front. Like that's what I want to wear. I want to wear a jersey. You know, I did that a little bit in middle school, but that's when I started changing more. But going to Ari Long, man, and just having like my coaching staff wasn't even on purpose. It's just kind of how it just kind of came. Like coach, we needed more coaches and kids came into play, and I'm okay, you can be a coach. And they had backgrounds of playing, like Jamal being an All-American and stuff. And it was crazy because I'm thinking like, man, nobody has actually even talked to me about this. Like, and this means a lot actually to me. Like, I'm the only black guy. I've always wanted someone to look up to and like to think. I remember watching music videos and going like seeing Nelly and them wearing band-aids on their end. I was like, oh, hey, I want to be like that black guy. You know, I want to, you know, that's what if I see another black, I didn't have a black role model in Longview to look up to. So when I went to church, or when I went down to my dad's in the summer and he was a church guy, like, okay, that's what my dad's doing. Okay, I want to be like that. Like, you know, but when you're a black kid and you're in like a community like this, you really are looking for like a role model, and you're looking for someone that's your race too, not just like, oh, okay, you know, you can look up to white people. Frick, my grandpa was my dad, but you know, when you like, hey, I want to see someone like me, I want to see, you know, I want to act like that. So now like coaching and stuff, it's crazy to see this because not only like coaching at Ari Long and having black players, going to the school because they have some black kids that aren't any good at sports. I'll get there before practice and there'll be some black kids and they'll see me and they'll come up to me and start talking to me like, and want to talk sports with me and like, oh yeah, you guys are doing good this year. Da, da, da. And it's like, they're looking at me like I'm cool. Like hey, this guy's actually doing something. Like he's in the school teaching, like helping out, like coaching here. And they don't see one black teacher at their school, you know? So when they see me, like they're coming to the gym, they're not even any good at sports. I don't even know their names. They're coming and wanting to talk to me and like, and I'm like, man, like, wow, this is kind of different. Like I am maybe making a difference to these guys and like wanting to be a good role model for black kids. Like I want to show like, hey, black guys are successful too. And like you guys can be in the school teaching, or you can be out here coaching. We need more black coaches out here. So, you know, we need that. Like, and so like now having 3 coaches on my staff, Rick, it was like, oh man, this is kind of crazy. But the thing is, they're really, these guys, and you know them, they're great guys, like amazing, great role models. And so like it all fell in place. Like how it did was weird, but like, man, like it means a lot, like to like these kids, man, like and how they can be themselves. Like they can't act like, hey, I can't act like that because they're gonna look at me differently. And sometimes when knowing the culture of how black people act and stuff like that, and then I'm hearing stuff back on it and like how these kids are or something, it's like, dang, like it's part of like how you got to understand the culture a little bit more, but you guys, some of you guys don't because you're never around black people. So being able to be a role model and to see it actually affecting some of these kids, like really changing, like, man, it's awesome. I mean, I've had a few players like, I don't know if you remember a dude named Herbie a couple years ago. And then he had a cousin named Darius. And he was a big old kid. He was coming around. I just kind of let him even just do the practice. He never got on the team. But those guys were really good guys, and they were looking for someone and they lived over in the hood. And after practice, I'd take them, I would drive them home. And I remember one time the Darius kid was going to get jumped. And nobody called. And he called me, Coach Key, these guys are going to jump me. I'm over here. Can you come get me? I said, yep, I'll be there in a minute. Went over there, picked him up. Like, I was the guy he called. He had someone to call. So, like, man, like, that thing, it's just, that's just huge, like, with all that going on. But, man, I'm almost right about it, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I mean, so many things are popping in my head right now. First off, your mom's amazing. She's just an amazing woman. I always really enjoyed being around her growing up. When I was at your house, she always had something wise to say, and she was always fun too. And now she's running my favorite restaurant.
Yep, and just bought another one.
Really?
Right next to it, the Old Creeks Cafe. She just bought it. So we're going to be fixing that up, and she's going to be running this a breakfast place and stuff. So, yeah, it's going to get that.
Now she's running Cow Deli on Commerce and Old Creek's Head.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's an amazing story, though, man. I mean, what you're doing at Ari Long is way beyond basketball.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't see that. It's like, because I've got a lot of grief over the years over there, man, for my style and them thinking, hey, maybe, they're not going to be as good as you were. And it's not that. It's not even close to that. They don't have to be as good as I was. That's not what I'm trying to teach them to be. Like, I'll teach them, like, want to be that good. But there's the whole other things to that I'm teaching. And it's what I was taught. And I try to always tell people, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I ain't that smart. I'm doing how I was taught, and I'm just putting a little bit of my own twist on it. But I'm doing what I was doing. If I was told that we had to be 10 minutes early, that's what we were supposed to do. If I was told this is our uniform, so to wear socks with no Nike signs on it, but I let my guys wear it. But I'm saying, like, if that's what we're told to do, we're not doing it. I want them to follow the dress code. You have a dress code. You have a work code. You got to be to work on time. You get late 3 times in a row to work, you're done. You're late to my practice 3 times in a row, great. I'm probably ain't going to kick you off the team, but you're probably going to run for the first week, and you're not going to play in 2 games until you figure it out. And not only that, you don't just get punished, you punish them the whole team. This is a team thing. So, my style has been, people didn't really like it that much, but they thought it was more basketball to me. It's like, no. It's different than how I was. And the reason I'm doing this is because I was successful by getting coached like that. So why would I not take that and do that where I'm at? The only thing is, you guys aren't used to it like that. It might have been a little different of a twist on how it was ran. So that's been a huge thing. I mean, you know how it was when I first came in there, and those guys, Peyton Miller and Ty Clark, and how those guys responded. And I'll tell you what, the other guys, no, let them be. No, we're not letting them be. They're not the only guy that's going to get off for this. Like, you're going to run. Ty, you're faster than everybody. We're going to do it again until you win it. And he'd win it. He'd eventually win it because he was like, but guess what? He needed someone just to give him that look. So, but those are the best stories. Like, when it comes down to, how'd you guys do that year? That kid's attitude changed to where he was first in line and worked and didn't talk back. But his first 3 years he was in this program, couldn't tell the kid nothing. Those are the stories that freaking make me, like, the most happy. Besides the wins and losses, like, that's the difference right there. So, and I think people are starting to understand that a little bit more, but it took a minute to get there,
Yeah. I mean, I knew from day one when I saw you coach, I was like, oh, this guy was born to do this. We came in together at Ari Long coaching. I was coaching JV, you were coaching C Squad. The only reason I got JV is because I was a lumberjack, so I got to pick. But I remember we had a practice together on the main gym. Maybe it was like a Friday or something, and we just come home from the night before. We had a road game, I think, and they were being loud on the bus. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to take it over from here and see if our memories align?
Well, I know they were being loud, and I don't really remember exactly what happened when we got there, but I know I brought it up, and I ran the shit out of them, though. To be honest, I think your dad was in the gym that day, and he came and he kind of walked by like, holy, this guy's nuts or something. But I remember I told them not to be loud, and they just didn't care. And I was like, okay, well, let me prove my point. Tell you what, these bus rides have been so good over the last few years, man. My bus drivers tell me this is the best group I've ever had. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
I remember I felt kind of awkward because our teams were practicing together and you were running both teams together. And I was feeling awkward. I was like, I'm just going to go help my dad put chairs up for the game.
Yeah.
Because our coaching styles are a little different. I'm a little bit more quiet than you. And so I was like, I don't think I can match his intensity right now. I'm just going to have to sit this one out.
I did that. That was awesome.
What's it like growing up in a predominantly white city? And I mean, maybe even beyond that, what's it like coaching now as a black man in a predominantly white city?
Man, it's crazy, man, because it's difficult. Like you feel like all eyes are on you a lot, man. Like, and that's why I didn't really want to mess up because people thought like I remember going to Mark Morris. People were always saying about me like I was like a troublemaker and I was gonna get in trouble. And look at my brother like getting in trouble and like I'm gonna go down the path and he's not gonna graduate high school. And so like I always felt like the spotlight was on me. Like, hey, dude, like I'm the only black guy, so they're expecting me to mess up. And then not only that, how I acted was like, hey, like, look at this kid. Like, look how he's acting. Like, so like I always felt like when I go to the store, man, and I don't know, it's because I'm a good looking guy, nice and fresh all the time, but every time I go to the store, something people are just staring at me. And I'm like, why are they staring at me? But then at the same time, you're thinking like, dude, when you're in a store and there's 500 people in here and there's one black person in here, people and they're gonna look. It's just how it is. I mean, I've been the same way. Like when if I go to like Wakaika when I go hang out, if I seen a black kid there, I'd look like, who's that? Or like when we were younger, if I ever seen a black guy right like in Longview, like walking down the street, I'd turn and look to myself, like, who is that? Like, I've never seen him before. So like that happened to me all the time. And still does. I mean, but there's more black people now, so it doesn't feel as awkward. But like when I was younger, yeah, man, like it was weird. And then even now, like comes to coaching, only black coach in our league, the youngest coach in our league, and then not seeing any like when we play against other teams. I think this year, the only team we played that had a black coach was Rochester. Other than that, I ain't seen no black coaches throughout the years that I've been coaching. So it's like, true. And it's just like maybe because of the area and like who's our league. I mean, even in our league, you don't see a lot of black players. And so like it's kind of like, hey man, eyes are on me. Like, I want to be successful, me, but I want to be successful too, as in, hey man, like black people can do it too. And that's what everybody, you want to think. Me, sure, it has nothing to do with being racist or have, like that. It's just like, and like when you're from somewhere and there's not a lot of black people, you want people to think of black people also in a different way. I'm mostly raised by a white family. That's what I grew up with. I didn't grow up with my black family. I grew up with my white family. So it's like me, like being with my white family and having black family. It's like, I guess that's probably why I can relate to the kids really good too, because the majority of all my friends are white. They're not black. And so when I hang out with black people, and let's just be honest, a lot of time, I go out there and stuff. Oh, what's up, my nigga? Da, da, da. But I didn't really like talk like that, or I didn't act a certain way. And so when I hung out with my black friends, like in Portland, like, oh, he's a square. So I'm a square because I'm not sagging my pants, but and I'm not saying nigga, 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 and all this. And so now, I'm a square. And I remember like, getting that a lot. And I'm like, okay, because I'm intelligent and I speak proper. And then like, or I'd get, oh, he's whitewashed. Okay, sure, whatever that means. I'm me. I'm not trying to pick. I didn't know that I had to act a certain way so that I can be considered black. I didn't know I had to act a certain way to be considered white. So I'm like, I'm just gonna act like how I act, man. Like whatever, you know. And everybody knows I'm probably the weirdest guy you'll ever meet in your life.
I
Weirdest.
I I think you're brilliant too, though, man. I don't know if you hear that ever, but I just think you're a really brilliant guy. You have such a unique perspective on life, and you grew up a unique person, and you know what I mean? Like that, there wasn't many Jeray Keys. There was no other Jeray Keys. You were one of one, and so I also think the way that you coach is very, very unique and brilliant because you have a mix of being very relatable and cool, but you also have like that hard nose and like that Bacchus and Pops background to where you can mesh the two. And so you're cool, but you're also very like diligent and structured. And to me, it's like the perfect mix. I'd love to hear your perspective on playing for Bacchus and what he taught you.
Yeah, man. And that was the thing, man. Like even being younger, I mean, my grandpa disciplined me, but I still needed a lot more discipline when I got to high school. I mean, the older you get, the more you think, hey, man, start getting a little hair under your armpits. You know, you got a little chin hair. Now you're really feeling like you the man. And I had to be humbled when I got to Mark Morris too, and Bacchus helped do that. And him too. Once again, it's always to me been shown by I would do anything for anybody who would do anything for me. And so if anybody ever showed me like how much they loved me, like even Backman, whatever I needed, like if I needed to make money to go to basketball camp, come stay in my deck. If whatever I needed, and he would always call me to his office or tell me you're going to do this, or I remember still this to this day. Maybe my junior or senior year, he said to me, I was in his room and he said, one day you're going to be a guy who sits at an office desk, wears a shirt and suit and tie every single day because you're that type of guy. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever that means. You know, once again, he goes, you just watch. I'm like, all right. But he believed in me. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to wear a suit and tie one day. Yeah, you know. And when he showed me that, I'm like, I'll do anything for this guy, you know. So playing for him, he taught that discipline thing, man. Like he tell me, hey, you need to be on time. You need to get up early. And you gotta, hey, this is a team thing. You want to come to Mark Morris? You need to cut your hair. You know, I cut my braids off after 8th grade just to go to Mark Morris and play with guys because I wanted to feel like a part of them. I want to play with them. Like I'll do it if that's what you want. I want to be a part of them. You know, so like he taught me like so much discipline, being on time. And then when I wasn't like that, you're not better than everybody else. So he always humbled me and let me know, like even though he knew like I was a better player, he made it. Oh, Dre's late today, so he made everybody run. Or I got a tattoo my senior year. And since I came with a tattoo and nobody had one, I was trying to stand out. So everybody had to run. He's trying to tell people running to me at practice because I had a tattoo. Frick, that was the worst thing he ever did. I was throwing people under the wall, throwing them on the ground. Like, don't try that. Don't try that. That was stupid. You could have ended our season there because guys could have been killed that day. But the discipline that he taught was, but not only did he teach you discipline, he knew how to get on you and then put his arm around you. And that's how I am with my guys now. Like I'm like a drill sergeant, but you know what? I know when to get on them and then put my arm around them. Like, hey, you're gonna go make another play though. Like you're out right now. I'll go think about it, but you're gonna go in there and you're gonna go make a game-winning shot. You just watch, and they know how to relate to that. So, dude, I picked up a lot of things from him, which helped me carry over to my coaching now. And same thing when I played for Rockville. He's a hard ass too. He'd get on your ass, blah blah. Dude, he'd come up to my house. I'm gonna make something. I'm gonna make some pizza or something. Come try my cooking. Oh man, you know. But he always wanted you're gonna do this, and then just come up to my house and have conversations and tell me this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna run the show. You're a great point guard. But he'd put your arm. He'd get me into I'm going there. He'd find me an apartment to live and get me work study money and help me with all my classes to make sure and have me a tutor care to make sure I'm successful. still calls me to this day, like, this is what you need to be doing, blah, blah, you need to finish this, or da, da, da. Used to try to get me to go to the Army and stuff. No, bro. No. I ain't doing all that. But, it's when you really put your arm around a kid and show them how much you love them, they'll do just about anything for you. A lot of kids don't get that. Kids' parents, they work, they're not around. When they're not around, they don't have nobody to look up to. If there's not a grandparent that's there to really, who is it? Everybody else has their own life. So they're just looking for that older guy that will. And so I think that's the part that I've understand from just my own life. I try to take my own thing, what's happened in my life, and I kind of use it towards how do I think this kid's feeling. And like, hopefully it hits home with them. And sometimes it does, maybe sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't work with everybody, but majority.
Yeah. What's it like now coaching against Backramus? Is that weird?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. It's competitive, because I want to win. He wants to. I know how competitive it is, but I'm like, man, I want to win. Like, and to know that the history of how much Mark Morris won, and I was part of that streak, and to be able to end that streak, and then to do it again.
28 game streak, right?
Yeah, it was up there like a 14-year streak, and then we were able to beat them, and it ain't easy. I don't care. To be honest, that was a team that had like a Will Burghardt and two Berger brothers that were all like, three of them were like 1,000-point scorers in their career. That was a good team, man, to be able to end the streak on, and then to be able to beat them even just this last year, to be able to get them twice in the last like 4 years, it's not easy to do. That's a hard thing to be able, and it's not about just the skill thing. It's about being able to get into your player's mind to make them believe that they can beat them. Because going into that game after you've been, the history of it, being beat for 14 years, kids don't really believe, man. Like, do we really think those? Like, yeah, they'll act like it, but they'll be so scared. Like, we can't do it. But like, so to be able to change their mindset is like the big step. And like, I think that's where the Ari Long mindset over the last couple of years has changed. Like, we really believe, man, like we can beat anybody, which is really good.
Yeah. Did it? Yeah, I think you're totally right. I think you brought in some new blood when you came and a new mentality, because the group that broke that streak was your freshman group.
Yeah, that freshman group, and they beat Mark Morris, and as a one, we split with them like for a league championship. We went 17-3 that year, and we beat Mark Morris, in a game that year. And I didn't have like Chris Austin or Ty Clark or Kobe Rothwell. They were all on JV playing with you. So I had other freshmen.
Yeah. That and then you did it again last year, right? You guys beat them last year. Tell me a little bit about your team.
We got this year or last year?
I want to know about this upcoming season. I mean, you can shout out some guys from last year if you want.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had a really good run last year, but we were pretty young still. But we returned 4 of our 5 starters. We were 1 game away from state, got second in the league. Man, we were at the bottom of the league last year, last place, and then ended up winning like 6-7 straight games, all by like 2 or 3 points, buzzers, being able to win at the buzzer. And I always tell them it was the work that they put in that we've never put in like this type of work at Ari Long since I've been here. And I have told everybody, I give the kudos to Jamal Holden, my JV coach. He's the one who really busted them because I can only do so much. I'm in there like pushing them so hard, but letting him kind of take the reins this summer and put them through these workouts, unbelievable, like what he did to even help change their bodies or the toughness. And so when it came to the end of the games and we were down by 4 or 6 points or it was close, our guys never gave up because they went through that grind together all summer, went to a team camp. And so we had a really good year. freaking had an amazing freshman who hit 101 3-pointers, which I'm still trying to find out how many guys this year hit 101 3-pointers in high school basketball. I got to find this out. I don't know if there's too many. But we got the Holden brothers that are coming back next year. Cameron Holden, he was a senior. He'll be a senior. Averaged 13 points a game for us last year, 4 assists, like 3 rebounds. And he's going to be a really good player. And then his brother, who's a freshman, who actually led us in scoring at 16.5 points and hit 101 threes, and he'll be a sophomore. And then we got a big guy who's 6'6". He's going to be a junior and had averaged 10.9 points and 6.8 rebounds, new school record for most rebounds in a season. Also averaged 2.7 blocks a game, another school record as a sophomore. And so we returned those 3. And then we got a bunch of other guys that were juniors and stuff that will be seniors: Jake Anderson, David Vaughter, Wayne Keegan. Those guys, they're going to play a really big role. And we got another enforcer down low. He's going to be really good. So we got a really good team coming up next year that, everybody through the whole year is like, oh man, like after the year was over, like, you guys are going to be the team to beat next year. Like Coach Long would say that to me, and the Black Hills coach after we lost. And the thing is like, I thought we were still the team to beat, and we knew River was good, but I still thought this year we were the team to beat. That's just how. But I hold our team to high expectation. A lot of coaches are like, we're not going to be very good, blah blah blah. But coaches say to like, oh, you guys are going to be good. Yeah, I think we will be really good. But obviously, we still have to put in all the work. But I've been in those positions where we're ranked first in the state, and guess what? We still worked hard. Like we ain't going to go into it and go, hey, we're going to be really good. No, we're going to work like we're the last place team still, but, we got to enjoy, we're going to have a freaking target on us. Now it's a little different than being the underdog, and nobody thinks we're picked to get 5th or 6th last in league, and now people are thinking, oh, they're picked to get first. Oh yeah. But it's going to be hard, but who doesn't want it? There's going to be some, like I told my guys, there's going to be some pressure. Like more pressure, but you know what, dude, it's what we live for. Like that's what makes it fun. Why do you want to play basketball? You want like something that makes you like. There's not a lot of things in life to where you get to go in, just like going into war or something, or going to play. Not a lot of things in life like today. You probably didn't get no butterflies in your stomach and your hands were sweating because you're about to go play a game because you're nervous. Rick, that's a feeling that you don't get to feel a lot. So when you're playing a sport and you get to feel that feeling, that's something special. So like, hey, embrace that. Like when that time comes, embrace those type of feelings, because you don't get to feel that a lot, man. I don't know the last time I got to really feel that besides when we were playing. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like it's yeah. Like so, like when I talk to these guys, like when it would happen during the game, like my guys would even tell me in the locker room before we play, oh, I'm so nervous, coach. But good. You know why you're nervous? Because you care. Because if you weren't nervous, that means you don't care. You're just gonna go out there, whatever. But you're nervous, you care. But guess what? I said, once you get up and down the court, you get that win, it'll go away. It'll go away. And that's when it started going away. And because it always did when I played, I got. It didn't matter if we were gonna play Woodland, and we had a really good team and hadn't lost all year and beat them by 40 last time. I was nervous going to that game because I always thought, what if? Mm-hmm. What if we lost though? Yeah. So I was nervous.
I was too. I think that's something that you and I had in common is we were kind of nervous players at times, and I think that hurt us a little bit, especially like offensively. I think you and I, that's one thing that we struggled with is like shooting from, 3 or whatever. First off, because we didn't really do skill development back then. We were kind of just on our own. It was just like, you play a lot of like pickup ball back then. You play a lot of open gyms, but there's no like trainers or like anything like that. So we were kind of on our own teaching ourselves how to shoot, besides like, my dad and my mom and pops helping you. But that, and I think we also played with nerves at times. And you and I kind of talked about it more into college when we were like texting about our seasons and whatnot. But I think it helped us and hurt us probably that we were like that. Because I had teammates in college that literally didn't care Like they cared about winning and losing, but they weren't nervous about games. They would just they could eat like a cheeseburger 5 minutes before going onto the court. While I was so nervous that you could. I was so nervous that I couldn't eat unless it was like 8-10 hours before the game. It's funny looking back on that and like thinking about that. But I get really nervous coaching. Do you get nervous coaching?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's not like when you're playing, because when you're playing, you can do something about it. But when you're coaching, you can tell them what to do, but you don't get to put the ball in the hoop. So, but when it goes into a game, man, like, and you want to win, I'm like, man, I'd be nervous, like, And then once I kind of get out there and I watch my team warm up, and if they're going pretty hard, I'll start getting a better feeling about it a little bit. But once the game starts, it starts going away. But before the game, I'll sit at the end of the JV bench and like watch it. I'm already nervous, man. Like, frick, man, we got to win this game. Like, man, I don't want us to put us in a hole right here. These guys don't understand. I probably tell them every single game that it's the biggest game of the year, to be honest. And then going to the next game and go, okay, this is the biggest game of the year. They're like, Coach, you said that every game. Yeah, because every game is the biggest game of the year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What you have a lot of talented players, but one that I've seen a lot of through Roots workouts and playing on Roots AAU teams is Kevin. What's the limit for Kevin?
Man, tell you what, man, it's sky's the limit. People say, you hear that a lot, yeah, man, but it's for real. Like, the kid he got it all. He got it all besides the size. He can shoot it already. He's got the handles. He can read. He's got to be able to. One thing he has to get better at is being defender, but that's just him being able to get bigger and stronger and stuff. But he understands the game. Like, he can get to his spots. I've seen him finish on 6'6" guys. It's just things that I haven't done now, and I think I'm a good player in my prime. There's moves that I'm seeing him Euro step and flick it up with his left hand with a Kyrie spin off the board. Kid's 5'7", 100 pounds doing this. I'm like, get real. Like, I'm not gonna lie, be totally honest. During the year, I'm going, after he had some big games, he had back-to-back 30-point games as a freshman, I'm going, and I'm thinking, like, we're going into the next game, and it's going to be a big game, and I go, yeah, he's going to run out of that luck, though. He's not going to be able to do that. He can't sustain that all year. Just knowing, being the player like I am, like, understanding how basketball works, he can't sustain that all year as a freshman. And then he does, and he's putting up 25, 27, 30 in a playoff game, win or go home. 7 threes, 8 threes, back-to-back games. I'm going, okay, he's something special. It didn't just happen. It wasn't a 5-6 game, Jeremy Lin insanity, little 1-week streak. This thing happened all year. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, he's going to be that good. And not to only think that, like, kid can't touch the rim. Could maybe run a 5-flat 40. And he's being able to do that. Get real. Like, it's amazing, bro. Like, it's something I haven't seen. I watch a lot of basketball around here and stuff. And, like, we take it back to Adam Perry and stuff and what he did as a senior. But the kid was so efficient as he did this, too. Like, it's something that is going to be something to watch over the next couple of years. And especially with him growing, I guess according to his dad, he's 5'9" now. He grew 2 inches since basketball's been over. And his dad's been sending me snap videos of them, like, pushing the car. And so the Holdens, they're putting in work right now, getting stuff done. So, I mean, it's going to be something special, man, over the next couple of years. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, he's going to have a little bit of a target on his back, after having such a hot freshman season. But he's just got the feel and the it factor. His, like, you can just tell, even when he's just warming up, you can just tell. It's like, all right, that kid gets it. Like, he knows what he's doing.
Man, yeah. And it's just like when he came in, like, he's a freshman, but, like, he's holding guys, like he's a leader. Like, your guy comes in, you're a freshman, you're not going to say stuff, you're not the top dog on the team, But he's coming in like, here, give me the ball. I got it. Hey, get down. Hey, we're going to do this. Like, he understands it just so much. And, like, holding guys accountable in practice. And it's like, dude, what? He started talking crap to his older brother that's a junior. like telling him like, hey, you're not working hard. Like what? Like, dude, he's done made my job easier for me. Shoot, I ain't got to get on him. I got a guy that I got a little chihuahua that's going to sit there and bite the ankles.
Yeah, I'm excited, and his older brother's good too. I'm just excited for you guys. As a lumberjack alma mater, I'm pumped about where everything's going. All right. Kyoki wanted me to ask you this question. Who would be your starting 5 RA Long team of players that you've coached?
Ooh, man. Ooh,
and if you don't want to hurt feelings, you can maybe add like a 6th man, 7th man.
Yeah. Well, Kobe Rothwell was in there. 20-point scorer for me. Why we ended that streak.
Does Kevin make it already as a freshman?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hands down. He's already put up the second behind Rothwell. He's already put up. Dude scored 396 points. Almost had a 400-point season this year. He's 4 points short of a 400-point. Frick, he goes 400 points. He's going to have 1,200 points for his career.
16.
That's really. He's already set it. He already set the school record for most threes. Yeah, he's there. So Rothwell, Cabin,
while you're thinking, I'm going to give a quick shout out to Coach Wallace for hiring us as coaches while he was at RA Long, and he let us have a say in a lot of things, which he didn't have to do. And we were young coming out of college. He both got us on our journey to coaching. So appreciate you, Coach Wallace.
Yeah, big time. I say him. Yeah, I might have to put like six guys or so on this. There's a few other guys. So I'd have to say Kevin, Kobe, Marriott, Peyton Miller. And then my thing would probably be Aaron Austin as of right now, and probably I'd probably say, because I like to go bigs and guards, I'd probably have to say Mawai, Keone. So my 2 bigs would be Austin and Mawai. My guards is Kevin and Miller, and then my shooters are Rothwell and Marriott. Probably those 6 right there.
That'd be a good team.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your coaching goals for the future? What goals do you have for yourself?
Well, my goal is to win a state title. That's the ultimate goal every single year, no matter what. I want a league title. I want a state title. I don't care if I don't get a league title, if I can get a state title, but just trying to check it off. I told guys even this year I wanted to, we had goals when, the guy asked, well, coach, what's your goal? Like, what's an individual goal for you as a coach? I said, okay, be coach of the year. So I won't be coach of the year. Everybody in our league has been a coach of the year. Long, Backamus, Buffum, guy that usually was the Woodland coach a few years, that Andrew Johnson. Now they got a new guy. And then the Washougal guy was like up there or something like last year or something, and or something. So every one of them have been a coach of the year. So I said, well, be coach of the year. And everybody came to me and said, hey, if you're not coach of the year, it's rigged, because we got second, went from last place. We're picked not to make the playoffs. And then end up going like the farthest besides Woodland, making their little miracle run, but make it that far. And I didn't get coach of the year, but people were hitting me up, hey, you were the coach of the year, da-da-da-da. I was like, oh, yeah, I feel it. But you know what? At the end of the day, like, even if I wanted that as an individual goal, I'll just for our guys to keep going and playing farther. I said that makes up for it. I don't even care. I know Jamal was freaking so mad though. He was texting me all night. Dude, this is bull. This is rigged. Da, da, da. Like that's not even real, man. Like they're cheating you. It is what it is. So, but that, and then man, I don't know. We'll see how it goes that all long as I'm here for a while. But maybe eventually move on to college basketball would be my next goal. But right now, I like just being over to where I'm at, just where I'm at in Longview. As long as I'm in Longview, I'm gonna be at all right long. Like if I move from here, then I'll look for like doing a college thing. But as long as I'm here and working at the deli, help my mom out, I'm gonna just be in all right long, man. Jack, red and black,
I
in
love
and
it.
out.
I love it. What's something that you want to become better at in coaching?
Um, I think the biggest thing was, this year was really when I did change my style was more of relating to my players a little bit, like not like every single one of them. Um, Knowing how to what I think I got better at was knowing which guys could take what. You know, first it was like, hey, all of you are gonna get it. You all are gonna get it just like this. But then you kind of start figuring out how kids are a little bit, and then I started kind of like, okay, he can't take it like that, but I got to relate to him in a different way. But now if I talk to him like this, kind of throw a little joke in there, he's gonna, and I'm good at throwing little jokes in there. Here, these guys like they laugh at me a lot, and so I think that was the thing that I've really worked on trying to be better at, was just being able to relate to the kids in a different way, knowing that hey, this kid can take that, but that kid can't. You know, so that was kind of that's been one of the major things for me.
I know that you miss playing. I see you still working out, putting up shots on the gun, all that. I mean, all of us players miss playing, but is there parts of basketball that you like more as a coach?
Um, yeah, I think what I do like about coaching is the game planning, where you get to put together a whole game plan. Like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna double on the post tonight, and this guy's doing it. And like really getting to pick it. Like, hey, this is a strategy. Like, you're guarding here, you're guarding here. When you're playing, you don't like really make those decisions. It's more of like your coach, but like when you get a kind of game plan for it, and I get to watch film and break it down and go, okay, this is how they enter the ball. We're not letting them enter it to the wings tonight. They enter it to the wings 80% of the time. Let's try to make them enter it to their post. I don't care if they throw it to the post and try to backdoor. So if they can beat us on a couple back doors, okay, we'll adjust later. But they're trying to get it to the wing and figuring that, like, being able to play that. It's like a chess game with other coaches too. Like when they start doing that, I think that's the fun part that I like, is like when you're coaching against another coach and they try something else, and they're like, okay, we're going to do this. This is how we're going to beat them. And then you're like, no, we're going to do this. And you get to kind of like switch it up. And then when you feel like, oh, that didn't work for them, you kind of get like, yeah, nice try. So that's always fun. I think the chess part of it is fun, because you feel like you just beat somebody in chess, especially when it's a close game and everybody's pulling every trick out of their hat that they can to win. And then when you beat them, I mean, just even our style of play, something you've never seen around here, is run and jump,
Yeah.
and which has been hard for other teams. And like, I'm not going to go into any detail just in case any other coaches watch this, but it's funny to see how teams try to break it. It's like, we're playing man to man. Oh, this man to man. And the thing is, no matter how you try to break it, like how teams think they can try to break it, it's a natural feel read for other players. So you give them an idea of the strategy of how it works, but you don't have to do that every single time that way. Like if you don't want to go jump when you're supposed to, you don't have to that time. You can do it in the full court. You can do it in the half court, and it's a style. And Jamal brought that style, and you kind of see it in AAU, and like when he brought that, I'm like, man, like now that's the type of basketball I want to play right there. Like that's what everybody want to see, that full court. And that's why people like, I've had so many people come up to me like, man, your guys' style is so fun to watch. Like that is so fun. Like me picking up full court and running like that, just up and down, and being able to sub some guys in, like it's awesome. I
Mhm.
love it.
All right, I've had you for 2 hours. I got 5 final questions.
Yep.
I'm gonna get every minute out of Dre that I can get. Uh, Growing up, which NBA players did you look up to? Who did you like model your game after?
Frick, man. Allen Iverson, of course. Man, I like T Mac. I used to have the shoes in every color.
Hmm.
Uh, who else? It's funny because I wasn't a huge Kobe fan because Giles was such a huge Kobe fan, but Shaq, just how
Mhm.
big of a beast he was. Um,
I really remember Iverson and T Mac for you.
oh yeah, those were my two like main guys like during that era. You know, we watched Jordan, but we were like 9 or 10 when we watched Jordan. We were young. We didn't get to really, watch him. Watch him.
You used to
Uh,
get the leg sleeves like T Mac, and you'd have your braids like Iverson, wear the headband.
yeah, yeah.
Um, is there anything that you wish you could have changed about your basketball career, or anything you regret?
Um, yeah, man. Especially when you're young and you're in that life of just you feel like you made it and like you're in college and you kind of it's your first time out of your parents' house. You get to run around. You kind of get to have fun and go and party a little bit. I think it was just like the later in my career because when you're in high school you live with your parents, you know what you're doing every day. You know, like you're gonna do. You go to college, you're like, okay, you kind of start. I'm not gonna work as hard today or something like that. So like my biggest thing was like when I got out to Lewis and Clark State, I worked so hard to get there and I put in so much extra time. But when I got out there, I can't even really remember a time like during the season that I ever stayed like to shoot an extra hour or to get up early and go to the gym. When I was at LCC, I was up at 6 a.m. with Coach Rose 3, 4 times a week. Going into the NWAC tournament, we did a whole week of 6 a.m. workouts. There, it was like we were done with practice. We were just looking to go have some fun, man. And the weekend came, it was fun. Everybody loved you, man. Like so, like not like really like staying focused was like, and that's why I wasn't as good when I was out there. I was still a good player, but my numbers dropped. And why? Because the confidence dropped. Like so, frick, dude. I think I made 7 3-pointers my senior year out at Lewis and Clark State. When I was at Mark Morris, I made like 35 my senior year. When I was at Lower Columbia, I made 35 both of our years and was like top two in 3-point made and shooting percentage. 2 years, but then I got out there and I didn't put in that time. And then your confidence drops. Now you're like, I can't shoot. Like we said, man, it's a mental thing. Like when you start thinking about that offensively, then it starts affecting your whole game.
Hmm.
Like, and so when I'd probably say the work, man, like is the biggest like regret if I could do it over again was like keep working and putting that time in. And then taking school serious to, hey, you're getting all this paid for. Go get this done. Get your degree done with all this being paid for so you don't have to, it was just more of, hey, I gotta stay eligible, play, get my classes done. That's all I care about. Have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Um, growing up, I was texting you about this the other day, I think. We played baseball games more than we played basketball, and you and I were both more in love with basketball, but that's just how it was. Like you played, you played football in the fall, I would play golf, and then basketball in the winter, and then spring was baseball. But in the summer, everyone played baseball. Like it was summer baseball, all summer long growing up from like 8 to 15 at least. But even I think I did it in high school a couple of years too, 16 and 17. um Specialization just wasn't a thing back then, where like people were playing basketball all year round or had trainers or were on AAU teams. There wasn't like Pops coached a travel team. My dad and Steve DeGraff coached a travel team, but it was just like when we were in our youth days and it was during the winter and stuff. Um, do you wish that we would have had a more specialized system back then, or do you like how we played multiple sports and really focused on whatever sport was in season?
Yeah, I mean, that's the crazy thing. Like when the season switched over, we were done with basketball. Like I remember, like it's baseball time is baseball. We went to football, it was football. So we were done with that sport. And it's crazy, like you said, like we played more baseball than we did basketball because there was no training like in basketball. We didn't have these trainers and stuff. We weren't able to go get into a gym. We were playing dunk hoops at North Lake and Olympic for our extra basketball. We had nobody teach us how to go to a cone and do dribbling, you know what I'm saying? And how to do finishes or to learn a new skill. Like if we would have been taught that, dude, who knows how good we really would have been. Like these kids are just so lucky. Baseball, you can go play 4 or 5 games and then end up playing, who knows, 12 games in 3 days. And that's what we did all summer. So like it was just fun. And then, you know, you'd go from like in basketball, unless you had an AAU team, the only other basketball you played was school. And that was like 6, 7 games. You know, here in baseball, you got league, you have your league for Central, then you get to go to Western, and then you get to go to All Stars. So in baseball, at your league, you're already playing 14, 15 games or whatnot. Then summer comes, and you know, we're playing 20, 25 AAU games, but in summer, we're playing, who knows, 50 baseball games. So,
Did you like it the way that we grew up, or do you wish it would have been more specialized back then, so you could have played basketball more? Because I wrestle with it. Like, part of me is like, I liked being a multi-sport athlete, and I liked doing it that way because I got, you know, to mix it up during the year. But I kind of wish that my summers would have been spent on basketball. Although I have a lot of good baseball memories. Like, it was really fun and everything, but because I fell in love with basketball and basketball was what I did in college, I kind of wish I would have used those off seasons to specialize a little bit more in that sport.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Exactly, because in summer I didn't even really think about it. Like in summer we played baseball all the way through. You guys were going to the World Series every year.
We played I would say we played 10 times more baseball games than basketball, me and you growing up.
Yeah, you guys are going to the World Series every year. We're just being lucky to keep the concession stand running. And we have grass. We're trying to make sure we got grass on the infield. Yeah. But
you know what's annoying about you though? This is my last thing I'm gonna say. You just drop a sport for a couple of years. You're like, I'm done with baseball. I'm done with football. You come back, lead the league in home runs in baseball. Probably first time you picked up a bat in 3 years. And then in football, you lead the league in interceptions and just take over all the sports that you pick up day one. And I hate you for that.
Fuck you. and don't edit that out either. No.
I'm just kidding.
We played all the time. Like you said, we played so much baseball. Like you said, my family was so competitive. True. You come over to Graham's, we playing wiffle ball right in the backyard. 9 innings, wiffle ball. Or if it's a tennis ball, we're trying to throw our arm out and throw. I remember going to baseball games because right before my baseball game, I was sitting there trying to strike Giles out and throw a tennis ball probably 80 pitches hard as I could. Probably why I was never a pitcher when we got older, because I freaking had tendonitis in my arm. Because, dude, I had to win. Didn't matter if I was pitching that day. I'm throwing 80 pitches with a tennis ball right before the game. But I agree with you on I wish we could have got ready for basketball or that other sport during the summer, because once we were locked into baseball, we were locked in. And then when football came, once baseball's over, then we could play a little bit of basketball. Because, football was only during school. We got to play 6 or 7 games, or we did marketplace or whatever. But there wasn't really a lot of football. But I remember having to try to get back into the feel of basketball because we didn't play it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I wish it kind of was a little bit more different, because if we were being able to play baseball but still being able to have a trainer during the summer, dude.
Yeah.
I'd probably be the all-time leading 3-point shooter at Mark Morris instead of Giles. Same thing with him is, when it came to All-Stars and stuff, he got to sit on the bench, and get to probably do his time of shooting and stuff, because I was too busy playing, making plays. He was over there sitting on the bench.
I know Giles is batting 600 at Central.
Yeah, freaking bad 800.
Oh, man, the pitching must have been so bad.
Oh, dude, unbelievable. You know what's crazy, bro? I'm not going to lie. He could just literally hit that year. He knew how to just slap it. It was the weirdest thing ever. Because I remember even during that time, our 12-year-old year, when I was trying to throw the tennis ball as hard as I could, or a wiffle ball, and I'm freaking up close, and he was hitting it off me. And I'm going, get real. Like, I'm getting mad. And in the season, he has an unbelievable season. Thinks he's better than me. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, you think you're better than me at baseball and basketball, but I hold a record at Mark Morris, and I have a higher batting average than you did at Central. Okay. You set all-stars the whole year, and you pitched a little bit, but, yeah, you're great.
Giles kills me. If you ever want to hold anything over Giles, the game that you got suspended in football for going at it with Joe Moy at practice, Giles had to come in and couldn't see over the line.
Yep, and then we lose. Well, on top of that, our freaking coach, oh, we're only playing one way. What? What do you mean? So I played defense. And we lose that game to Huntington, and Jordan Smith gets took off in a stretcher because the coach ran him like 30 times. Unbelievable. Only loss of our career. Like, what are you doing? How are you going to take Michael Vick out before Michael Vick?
Hey, bro, I appreciate you taking 2 hours out of your night.
Yeah, bro.
You're my guy. I love you. You're one of my best friends. One of the best athletes to ever come out of Longview. Still wish you would have been a lumberjack with me, but you're my boy.
Yeah, I'm making up for it though. And it's all because of you getting me over there when I came back from college and pulling me in. I had chances to lead to Mark Moore's, but our friendship was like, hey, we were meant to do this a little bit together. We didn't get to play together. Let's do this coaching thing for a little bit together. So that was huge, bro. But yeah, I love you, man. It's a good interview.
Appreciate it, bro. I'll talk to you.
All right, bro.